So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites. And I'm super excited on this one because I'm super excited on all of them, but I'm like the eternal optimist, glass is half full. And so this week we're going to be talking about the power of happy. And one of the videos that I tend to refer to clients a lot of times, especially where they're at, is Sean Aker and the Happiness Advantage. And it was a TEDx that was done. And so there's a lot of underlying things from his book and his research that we're going to kind of unpack today. So I'm going to start with a quote. And it was one of the quotes from Happiness Advantage, is that happiness is not the belief that we don't need to change. It's the realization that we can. And so it's that shift in stuff being done to us to where the possibilities and the capabilities we have within ourselves. I want to add one other story, Roko, and you and I kind of touched on it, because in the video, he talks about when he and his sister were kids, as they look back. She was 5 years old. She had fallen off the top bunk. He had previously gotten in trouble for, saving her from imaginary people a few weeks before, and her arm had gotten broken. So he was worried because his sister was going to start crying. And he said, in that moment of brilliance, right? He's like, oh my gosh, he said, look at the way you landed. There's no way that a normal child lands that way. Only a unicorn could land that way. So in her mind in that moment, she became a unicorn. And as a unicorn, she just scrambled right back up onto the top bunk and everything was great. And so it is about, I'm not asking you guys to become unicorns or to think that you are, but it's that shift in possibilities, that the perspective's different.
Yeah, Michelle, I know we talk about this in almost every single one of our podcasts, but our mindsets are a powerful thing. And it's true in this case as well. We have the power to shift our mind from being happy or unhappy. And in this case, having a broken leg, being defeated versus, ooh, I have the power. I am magical and I can make this situation into a better thing, right? From that 5-year-old's perspective. And I just, for me, happiness impacts everything. It impacts relationships. It impacts your work. It impacts your health. And I know there are many studies out there about people who are happy live longer, people who are happy avoid heart disease and other chronic diseases. And we know that there are different chemicals in our brains that are released that are triggered from happiness. So it just impacts everything. So if we have that practice of gratitude, you mentioned gratitude, and it's one of the things that I learned very early on around happiness, how to build happiness in your life is gratitude. Every day, waking up or before you go to bed or during the day, just being thankful and recognizing, what am I thankful for? Or, understanding what brings me energy and then doing that thing every day so that you have some joy in your life that builds on your energy and your mind.
I think the other thing that comes to mind for me, Roko, is that it's the ability that we have to control, because it's the inside stuff, right? Yeah. The ability to control how we filter the information. So part of the stuff too is you can come from this mindset of negative and, woe is me, whatever that may be. And if you're filtering everything through that, then your first reaction to stuff is not going to be, I got this. Your first reaction potentially could be, oh my God, here we go again. Right? Almost like victim stuff's being done. But to your point, there are ways to shift from that mindset. Because, I talked, it's like, if you're a female and you've ever been pregnant all of a sudden, or you're, someone that was around pregnant women, that's what you see everywhere you turn, a pregnant woman. Or if you have a white car, you see white cars everywhere. The same thing happens if your view is this negative place and you're not coming from a happy place, versus if you're coming from a happy place, you're going to attract like for like. You're going to view things and filter things through that. A previous episode, we talk about the power of problems.
Yeah.
So if you think about it for a minute, you're filtering a problem that shows up through happy, right? Because internally you're happy. It's probably a lot easier to view it as a gift and opportunity than if you're viewing this same problem through the I'm not happy, I'm miserable, I'm stressed place. And all of a sudden it's like another roadblock or a stop sign, if you will. But there are ways to shift it. And so the power of happy is how we are able to have the resilience to be able to manage the rapid change and the things that are coming at us, and to have better engagement and relationships and connections with people at all touch points.
Yeah, totally agree. And as you were saying that example, I was reminded of a story that my daughter shared with me. She had had a conversation with her cousin, and her cousin didn't take the typical path that when you graduate from high school, you go right into college. She really didn't know what she wanted to do. And she decided to take a year off and figure out, you know, what would make her happy, or what did she want to do with her life. And she learned that she loved to bake. And so she decided to enroll in a culinary school and went to New York all by herself, and, you know, learned how to live in a big city, but is just loving that path that she now is on. And my daughter said, Mom, she's just living her best life. And it got me, you know, and I could just feel the joy that was coming from my daughter, because, you know, she had felt the love and excitement that her cousin was feeling around this choice that she had made. And it just bleeded over into my daughter's life. And it prompted her to then go out and seek a job so that she could start to figure out, like, what do I like? You know, she's in college and she's trying to figure out, you know, what path she's going to take, but it really excited her. And so it's infectious, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The word I was thinking is contagious. So it's disease stuff that we're doing. Infectious, contagious, in the best possible way. When you were describing that, I thought, my God, this is almost like a Hallmark movie. All she needs to do is like meet the man. Yeah. Everything will be great. Or Marlo Thomas was in a movie with a sitcom. It was That Girl. I think it was That Girl way back when.
Okay, you're dating us.
No, it's okay. It was a fun show. But you think about adventuring and positive, and so when you think, and the ability for someone, to your point, she's in a big city on her own, essentially, to be able to know that you can go do that.
Yeah.
So it's that happiness shift that's so important, and it starts internal for you to figure out what that is. And especially with, like I said, all the change, everything that's going on in the world, you let it start with you. Don't wait for somebody else to start coming from that place, because to your point, I'm smiling. I've got joy from the story that you just retold, that your daughter told, because she got joy. And so how many spaces away are we from the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever? But I mean, that we're able to experience this joy that somebody else had firsthand. And so it's powerful stuff.
It is. So I shared that gratitude, you know, every day, you know, sometime in my day, I pause just to think, what am I grateful for? What's something that you do to put yourself into that mindset of happiness?
Well, I do the same thing. I do a little bit more, right? Because there was so Sean Aker describes, you know, 3 things of gratitude every day, and journaling, which, by the way, don't journal. Okay. But I just offer it up. And you journal a positive thing that happened that day, and you basically relive it when you're doing that. Exercise is one. Meditation's another one. I do meditation. Not for that thing. It just helps ground me and center me. And the other is random acts of kindness. Yeah. So you can shoot off an email to somebody, or you can shoot off a text to say, hey, looking good, sounds great. You can comment on someone's podcast, you know, random acts of kindness. But those are the things that help reprogram the brain to be looking at those positives and gratitude. So I'm going to go back to gratitude, because I do practice gratitude, but there's something that I learned recently. It's not just about remembering what that thing is, but actually stepping into how it felt in that moment. So it's a specific thing, and it can be a small thing, right? But step into that moment and feel the feeling again that you felt in that moment that you were grateful for. Yeah. And it's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. You know, and as you were sharing the random acts of kindness, two things popped into my head. One was our conversation with Trina White on recognition, right? Mm-hmm. Focused recognition, because it is an act of kindness it's not random, but it is kindness. It's an act of kindness around appreciating someone, and you might bring joy to mm-hmm. that person by giving them that recognition. And then the other one was over the holidays, my older sister, she has young grandchildren. And instead of focusing on the material aspects of our holiday season in the America, in the United States, she focused on teaching them kindness. And so they had to do every day a random act of kindness. And it was simple things like going to their local fire station and giving them cookies, or while they were at the grocery store, you know, saying something nice to the cashier. And at first the kids were like really hesitant and like, what is grandma asking us to do? But then, you know, after like day 2 and 3, they were like, okay, what are we going to do today, grandma? You know, and they were just so excited about it. And you could just feel their joy and happiness in doing it. And they were spreading it as well. So I love the random acts of kindness piece.
I do too. It's so funny. My daughter, I was talking to her the other day, and she mentioned that during Hanukkah, the kids don't get gifts. So mm-hmm. they don't realize that that's not the time that you get gifts, because they give gifts to other children during that time. And so it is what you're used to, and the feeling that you get when you're able to help somebody else out or do something else. So it builds up that happiness, the reprogramming of the brain. And I think it's going to help us be more resilient in this ever-changing world that we're in. So what do we want people to walk away with? We've covered a lot around the power of happy.
I think for me, it's about having a positive mindset, and we have the power over that mindset.
I would agree, and start small if it's too overwhelming. And if journaling's not your thing, don't journal. Yeah. but do the stuff that works for you, and just start. Yeah. So thank you very much, RokoM and Michele, Leadership Soundbites. And so please, and we appreciate comments that people have made. Like, subscribe, and comment. It means a lot. And until next time, have a great one.
Bye-bye.